What's cooking, Juventus fans? Welcome back to your old lady's favorite YouTube channel. Any reports of my potential passing have been greatly exaggerated. But anyway, with the news today, we have plenty on the docket. Agnelli spoke with that of Romeo Agresti to talk about some of the potential moves, the status of Juventus, gives you basically a state of the union from the president of Juventus about what's going on there. We'll cover all that, as well as some latest news reports that we need to talk about, and then some other player options looking into the future. Stick with us, we'll fill you in. Ciao ragazzi, welcome back to the Bianconerizonechannel. My name is Justin Sofro. Today it's Thursday, April 28th, 2022, and of course I got your latest rundown of all things Juventus, all the news that you care about each and every day as quickly as possible. Before we do that though, smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell icon to stay notified for all of our latest videos. Again, I've been pushing on it lately. Please hit that like button. I'll pause for a second. It really does help our channel to continue to grow. If you like the videos you get here, maybe you don't like me, you like Alejandro, you like Julian, whatever it is that you like about this channel, just hit the like button. It really helps us continue to do that. Let's jump into it though, because we got a doozy of a news day for you. Very first up, we have Marcello Chidico, and I apologize, I probably butchered his name, but he was reporting basically on that of Juventus' interest again in Boubacar Kamara. Basically saying Juventus are pushing for Kamara, the 22-year-old midfielder whose contract is expiring this summer, has long been in Juve's sights as a possible midfield reinforcement for next season. We talked about this. I think this was a rumor back in the last summer mercado that is, about him being a Juventus option that they're going to end up looking at. We'll see if they end up going for him. We'll see if that continues to develop. But now it's looking like Juventus are more and more interested in that defensive midfielder. Probably also because his contract expires this summer. It'll be a cheaper option, an option Juventus can get. Again, I still strongly think you can't add a midfielder like this without adding that big splash name. If you don't do that, I don't think Juventus fans are going to be happy. And we'll see if our president really helps to make us reinforce any good feelings there, or positivity moving into the mercado. All right, let's go ahead and move on to that. To which Agnelli spoke with Romeo Agresti, as I said, gives the State of the Union. I'm going to just a little clarity before we jump into it. He goes back and forth. There's a couple times in their conversation that they retrack on some of the topics that they talk about. So I kind of I'll mention a little bit of a snippet, a comment there, but it may get brought up again. Just FYI. Anyway, starts off with asking about Allegri, says we have a long-term project. Resources are limited. We're focusing on Dusan, Chiesa, and De Ligt. So those are the top three options, the top three stars of the team, if you will, moving forward. I also see he throws in Locatelli there later. We'll see. I know Locatelli's a solid player, but let's... just watching him this year, he's been good. I know he hasn't been playing in the best role for his position of what he strives at. Maybe we can get a midfielder that helps open him up, unlock him, if you will, a little bit. But at the same time, he hasn't lived up to the hype that I was kind of hoping to see Locatelli really do for this season. But we'll see. Maybe coming off an injury, healing up over the summer, maybe he'll look like a different player or an improved player. Again, and also just to comment on it, just the resources are limited. I get it, and I understand it. Yeah, Juventus as a whole doesn't have a ton of money. I mean, they have money, but they can't just throw everything. They can't just go buy every player on the mercado, right? That's not going to be realistic. But at the same time, I still stand pretty firmly in my belief that if John Elkann, or the Elkann overall, they want it to happen, it'll happen. He goes on to say, Del Piero, he's always welcome. Now he's focused on the life that he's living. Kind of a quick little hit. I think he talks about him a little bit more again later. But just basically, obviously, we talked about the issues that have happened with him over the years since his departure from Juventus and the bad blood there between the two. Did they ever have a conversation? Did they actually meet up and talk? We don't know. It doesn't seem like that was really covered, so probably maybe not. Maybe he came to the game. Maybe he avoided him, or maybe Agnelli avoided. I don't know the situation. I would like to hear if they had some kind of a coming to terms, right? A meeting in the middle and maybe coming back together, maybe hug it out a little bit. He goes on to talk about Chiellini. He said he's had a place in the club for years. He's doing some reflecting now, so very ambiguous. We'll see what happens when it comes to Chiellini's career in the future. Also, just we know it's Chiellini's decision to make. Continuing on, he talks about him leaving the club, to which he says, I'm serene, I know what we're doing, and I'm having fun, which is the fundamental thing. I'm glad he's having fun, right? It's all fun, it's all whatever. I'm kidding. But at the same time, yeah, I think he's just basically putting a clarity out there that, basically he's not going anywhere. He's doing what he likes doing. He doesn't feel like stepping down. And I also feel like it's kind of it could be, I don't know the inner workings, the background between Agnelli, the Elkins, how they're feeling, whatever's going on with John Elkin, and Exor and all that. My question is how much of this is I'm not bleeping leaving, right, from Wolf of Wall Street. I'm not bleeping leaving. We'll see. But I think Agnelli is probably pretty comfortable here, at least for the next few seasons. And I mean, me personally, Agnelli's done a lot to put Juventus in the situation that they're in. Good, and maybe there's been some not so great things that have happened, but there's been a lot of good there. A lot of stuff established over the last 10 years with, the stadium and with all the Scudetti, the 9 Scudetti in a row. It's hard to really discredit him there. They're able to bring in some, obviously, Ronaldo players like that. It's been a tough go the last few years, but a lot of that's a lot of fallout because of Ronaldo, whatever. And then obviously stuff that just they can't control, right? The leadership there at Juventus cannot control a global pandemic, right? So we have to be a little bit reasonable when it comes to things like that. Continuing on, it says Dybala is a great player. Decisions are the result of moments. In December, if you had asked me about Vlahovic at Juventus, I would have told you that it was impossible. And I think a lot of us did. A lot of us thought that we never knew it would happen. We never really believed. Well, we believed it would happen this summer. We didn't think it would be already happening and he'd be here now. Now, hopefully, they get him the help that he needs to help create for him. Because right now, I don't want to say he's not living up to the hype, but it's been a slow build. It's been a slow burn, if you will. Let's see. Let's continue on, though, when it comes about Dybala. I think he talks a little bit more about him in a little bit. Maybe right now. He says, resources are limited, and you have to choose how you invest them. In our vision, we have Vlahovic, De Ligt, Locatelli, and Chiesa. To make an offer to Paulo that did not match his level would not have been fair to him. Which is just wow. Like, I mean, when I say wow, I mean, that's a massive, I don't want to say a nut. Okay, I guess I'm saying it. It's a kick right in the groin if you're Dybala, right? You're basically saying, Paulo, you're not, well, I mean, it's what we all have been saying, but it's a little bit different. It holds a little bit different weight when it comes from the president of the club, right? When he's basically just coming out there and saying, Paulo, I would love to be able to pay you this amount of money, but you're not worth this amount of money. You were definitely not living up to the expectations, and we know that. Last 2 years, I mean, it's not hard to replace that kind of output, right? For the last 2 years. Last year, he was injured all year. This year, he's injured for a majority of it, and when he does play, he gets a goal here and there, but nothing special overall. But it is kind of the ego. It's definitely a bringing down of the ego of Paulo Dybala and saying, just regardless, like you're not nearly the player that you think you are. Continuing on, now he goes back to talk about Del Piero. He says Del Piero is always welcome at Juventus, but he has his own life. Coming into the club means a lifestyle change, and right now, Alex is very focused on what he's doing, and I feel like he's happy. So, basically leaving the door open there to the potential of Alessandro Del Piero coming to Juventus, either being, a management or some role there, even while he's there, while Agnelli is there, but he's very, it's non-committal. It's kind of just saying, oh, he's got all this stuff going on. Otherwise, we would, but he's busy. We've got this going on. We'll see what happens. But again, I like that he's at least leaving the door open there. I don't know how much of that maybe is forced by Elkin or anybody else above him. Maybe saying, hey, like this is the Juve legend. Fix this relationship, whatever you have to do. He needs to be at Juventus. He needs to be at home in Turin. All right, let's continue on. More comments he said, talking about Morata, his relationship with him. Obviously, not Alvaro Morata, but Morata, who is at Inter, He goes on to say, yes, I miss Morata because I care about him. At the time, decisions were taken and thoughts were made about him that initially were attractive and then no longer. The club has made other decisions. He goes on to say, Morata went to Inter and did very well. To find myself today with him, Zhang, with whom I get along with very well, and a former university friend of mine. I also like him quite a lot at Inter, which is special. So he's doing the political thing of saying nice things about his former employees as well as his former friends, but that are now at the rival. What's he gonna say? Bleep him, right? What's he gonna say? Anyway, continuing on. Talks about the Scudetto. He says, I've always hoped for a collective falling apart and then we win 4 games. So yeah, basically, he just hopes that Juve wins out and that everybody else just literally is a train wreck. But I think he's also realistic in realizing it's probably not going to happen this season. I mean, it's not going to happen this season, guys. I'm going to be realistic. I like to hype it up a little bit and just see, could we dream? Could we hope? But at the same time, I have to be realistic as well when it comes to the outcome of this season. But next season, there are no excuses for Allegri and Agnelli, the entire club. No excuses, especially, if this Mercado falls apart for any reason, it's on them. It's on Arriva Bene, it's on Cherubini, it's on them to make this work and to get the good players that we need at Juventus for the next season. But still, if you're Juventus, especially with the way they performed since the turn of the new year, since 2022, Juventus have had the most points of any club. They've been playing better than any other club on paper. Do that next season for the entire season. Goes on to say, does the Coppa Italia only count if you lose it? No, every trophy counts, and I think the most important of all is the league because it gives you a picture of who is strongest throughout the season. The one with the most appeal is obviously the Champions League. Yeah, we know. we know that. Yeah, we know Champions League. You want to win that one first, Scudetto next, but then obviously we also had the debate, the talk between Champions League or Scudetto. Which one do you want to go farther and which one do you want to win? What's the most important? We know what that is. Let's continue on. He goes on to say that overall Juventus is a long-term project. We knew this year would be difficult, and having regrets for not winning at the end of the year is a good boost for the future. So, when he says this, he also says that Arriva Bene is a high-level CEO, which, okay, yeah, we know. But when he says this about Juventus being a long-term project, I'm trying to think how this sits with me overall as a fan. Because it almost feels like you're kind of tempering expectations for next season. It's basically saying, maybe we won't win the Scudetto next year. Or, my question is he tempering expectations for the Champions League? I think if you're a realistic Juventus fan like myself, I've been a fan, I'm not as long as some people, but I've been a fan since, 2006-ish. But realizing at my age that the last time Juventus won the Champions League, it's really difficult to win the Champions League. Premier League teams are able to do it. Credit to them. But at the same time, I was 5 years old the last time Juventus won, a Champions League. So I there has to be a sense of realism there with how difficult that is. But you've also proven that winning the Scudetto, maybe you do want to give some credit. You want to give a lot of credit. You want to give a lot of credit, and you want to give some shine, definitely, to the 9 straight seasons that Juventus won the Scudetto. And or Scudetti, multiple. Anyway, but at the same time, I think there has to be some realism of the league may be a little bit better. Now, Inter and Milan are a bit more competitive, Napoli as well. But at the same time, Juventus need to win it. You're Juventus. You have a history of it. You can't slack now. You can't let them catch ground on you in the amount of Scudetti you win. Obviously, they're not doing it anytime soon. They have about less than half of the Scudetti, of which Juventus have. But at the same time, you're Juventus. You're expected to win. And you can't go... I think right now, there's no way you can make up... Or I feel like after 9 straight Scudetti, I don't think you could go 3-4 years without winning a Scudetto and it being okay at Juventus. That's you've raised the bar. The bar has been risen. That's where it needs to be. I'm not for lowering it at this point. All right, let's continue. He goes on to talk about the Super League and the situation going on with them. Obviously, there's a lot of drama there. Saying Super League, the reaction of the international organizations to a group of clubs, some of which were frightened, is cause for reflection. To sustain the legal battle, you have to feel you have broad shoulders. basically he's continuing a fight. He's going to continue to fight it. We'll see what happens along the way. Then he goes on to say, with common serenity, which is, it's funny. I don't feel like I'm used to hearing people, maybe it's a translation thing, but I'm not used to hearing a lot of people say common serenity. Serenity now, I always think of, Seinfeld. That may be aging me a lot, showing my age. But at the same time, the serenity comments, besides Allegri and him, I don't know that I've ever heard anybody use it that often. Anyway, maybe it's an Italian thing. Local Italian. Anyway, with common serenity, we will wait for the judgment of the EU court. The dialogues are interrupted, but this does not detract from the fact that from my point of view, there are still affinities. It was not an attack on Shefferding. Time will be a gentleman. So basically saying, time heals all wounds. We'll get through this, and we'll figure out what will happen down the way. I'll be interested to see how this plays out, how this goes. I think Agnelli, I think, Barcelona and Real Madrid, I think they're all going to stick together, and I think they're going to give this another go, and we'll see what happens there. We talked about yesterday what, the implications of what could happen. It seems right now that it seems like it'll be pushed back another season or two before the UEFA would actually do anything, make any action against Juventus. But at the same time, I would hope that they would figure out a solution. If they're trying to go about the Super League and they're trying to get it done, that they're able to do that before any harsher penalties can be enacted. And then finally, he says, we already have a Super League. We will have a Premier League all year round, and one that is played from March onwards in Europe. This is a polarization that already exists. So yeah, just more of what I was talking about the way the Premier League is. It already is kind of a Super League. Now you can have one with all the teams and not just focus as much on the English teams. It's another thing to consider, especially the more and more the Premier League, the English Premier League grows, and the spotlight continues to be on them, which has been on there for a long, long time. Even Real Madrid and Barcelona have lost some of their shine in recent years, especially with, Messi, Ronaldo leaving. It's definitely not the same. They're not looked at the same as they are. And I say this obviously with Real Madrid still, performing well in the Champions League right now. Anyway, let's continue on. The next are actually getting back into news stories, and the big news story of the day. And I want to handle this with tact and a sincerity when we go about this, but it was a mess. It was a mess. If you were on Twitter, if you're in the news world, the news today was, and I'm not going to call anybody out, ready, not calling anybody out, but there were a lot of news reporters that were basically giving us a lesson in bad reporting. And first up, basically the news was out there that many believed, and I believed, people mostly, if established, long respected, when I use that loosely, journalists report the passing of somebody, you expect it to be true, and you expect the due diligence to be done. It appears that wasn't the case, but basically just to let you guys know, if you haven't been on Twitter or whatever, it was reported that Mino Raiola had passed away today. That appears to be not true. That appears not to be the case. I don't know his current status, but here's basically what we have. Agenzia Anza basically reported saying that Jose Fortes Rodriguez, who is the right-hand man of Raiola, informs NOS that Raiola has not died. He has not passed away. He is not well, but he has not passed away. At this time, I want to say just overall thoughts and prayers go to Mino Raiola, his family, his loved ones, his co-workers, all those involved with him. He's a pivotal piece of just professional football. He really is. Regardless of what you think about him, what you think about his business dealings and all that, he is integral to the sport. He's been such a big power player in the landscape, and honestly just a big piece when it comes to Juventus. He's done Juventus a lot of good. There are a lot of good players that Juventus have been able to do because of their good relationship with him. So my prayers, my thoughts with him and his family, that he makes a recovery and that he can get back at it. I know it's a difficult time right now, but hopefully he can make a recovery and be all right. To go off of that, there is another tweet that was sent out by Mino Raiola, which I gotta love this guy's sense of humor, right? Just the way he says stuff. Maybe he says it more, maybe it was less humorous and more angry, but he tweeted out current health status for the ones wondering. Pissed off, second time in 4 months they kill me. Also able to resuscitate. Whatever. Anyway, the way you said it, it's hilarious. Good on him having a sense of humor. I'm pretty sure he means this with all humor to it, giving the reports that have happened over time when it comes to him. Hopefully people get it right, and hopefully, again, he will make another recovery and be doing well, even if the circumstances are as difficult as they are. But thoughts and prayers with his family. All right, let's continue it on to news about Juventus and just talking about that. I just thought maybe I thought that was important news. It was something to talk about given his status there. Sorry, beard hair getting everywhere. Anyway, Gazzetta dello Sport is reporting basically that between, and we talked about this before, Fagioli and Rovella, only one will be part of Allegri's squad next season. I feel like I'm doing reruns, right? Anyway, the club's choice would be to keep Rovella as he has more experience in Serie A, but Fagioli will do anything to earn his place in next year's squad. So, as it stands, it'll be one or the other. Right now, Rovella has a lead in it, but Fagioli, obviously, there's him and his competition and his being a Juventus youth player, and also there's a lot of fan backing behind Fagioli as well, so we'll see what happens there. Also, keep an eye on the Mercado to see who maybe wants to use one of these players to maybe bring in, maybe that of Raspadori. We'll see. All right, DiMarzio is reporting, basically just giving more updates when it comes to the situation of who Juventus are going after. Says that, again, Di Maria and David Agnelli are the two profiles, followed by Juventus. Experience and elegance on one side, obviously Di Maria, talent and extravagance on the other with David Agnelli. Obviously, between the two, if I were to make a pick of one guy you're going to go ahead and get, I would say that of Di Maria. I still think he could be a useful option for Juventus moving forward, and a short period of time option. That was a mess of words. Anyway, let's continue on with the Di Maria talks. Tutto Sports reporting that Juventus continue to push for Di Maria, who is considered to be the right player for the right price, quality to complete an attacking department where the average will be much lower. Raspadori could also be an option to come in. The way this is worded, I don't know if that means either or. Di Maria or Raspadori, then we'd have a debate there, because I don't know if I'd be full in on passing up the option of Raspadori to bring in Di Maria. I like Raspadori. I like what he brings. I think he's got a lot of talent, and I think he has a great work ethic, both of them. But also, I think he has a lot of potential, a ton of potential moving forward for the future, not only for Juventus but also for the Azzurri. And then we'd have a debate, because I don't know, Di Maria can definitely do some solid things, but it's only going to be for 1 to 2 years at Juventus. Maybe we'll see if if it works out in the long term. Let's continue on with the last news of the day, and that is that Gazzetta dello Sport's reporting about Artur, saying that he could be back with the squad for Sunday's game against Venezia. So there we go. That'll be good to have another little bit of a boost there in the midfield. Regardless, I know some people aren't super high on Artur as a player overall. He's a slow player or whatever. But at the same time, it'll be good for Juventus to be able to have another body, another set of fresh legs out there with an already depleted side. Maybe then Danilo won't have to play in the midfield once again, as he has been the last couple games. And then we can get Zaccaria some help out there. And Rabiot, Anyway, that's it for the news today. It was a bit of a long video. Actually, yeah, it was pretty long. But we wanted to make sure we covered everything in detail as much as possible. And I get a little bit wordy with my thoughts. Anyway, guys, if you haven't already, let me know in the comment section down below your thoughts, all your comments on any of the players, the things that Agnelli said. A lot of that is imperative for the future moving forward, what it means for the club, what it means for the players, all that good stuff. Also, if you haven't, please hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, hit that bell icon to stay notified for all of our latest videos. Make sure you follow bianconerizone at bianconerizone, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and you can follow me at Justin Sofro on Twitter as well. I'll see you guys next time. Forza Juve, Forza Bianconeri.